Hello, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Thursday, March 28th, 2024. In this video, I want to take a look at some state legislation that I think is a very good thing. And then we're going to ask the tarot cards if this is possibly part of a trend. I'm hoping it is, but we'll find out what the cards want us to know. 1 second while I take you to a share screen that will have that information for us. And then if you'd like to look at that in more detail, you can click on the Facebook link that will be in the video description box for this video. Let's go to that share screen and see. The good news comes out of the state of Louisiana. Louisiana Senate Bill 133. They passed a bill 37-0 that will not allow any rule, regulation, fee, tax, policy, or mandate of any kind from the WHO, World Health Organization, UN, United Nations, or World Economic Forum to be enforced or implemented by the state of Louisiana or any agency. I think that is fabulous. We know when the United States was established, the states were supposed to have a lot of rights for what happened with their citizens. It wasn't supposed to be coming all out of Washington, D.C. And I personally love when I see states pursuing their right to pass legislation for their constituents and their citizens and residents of their state. So again, that is Louisiana Senate Bill 133. Credit for this goes to Governor Landry. There's a comment here from Trump Girl. She said, first, Louisiana's Governor Jeff Landry passes open carry law going in effect July 4th. Now this. So far, so good, Governor Landry. I tend to agree. So let's just ask the cards. What I want to know, good for Louisiana. There's 49 states still out there that haven't passed this kind of legislation. I'd like to know if this is going to be kind of the poster child and the start of more states putting down those kind of state legislation, and if we can get any indication, if so, how prevalent it will be. We know there are some states that have bought and paid for elected officials that are dancing to the tune of those agencies and aren't going to pass any legislation that's proposed, but there's some. And there's some, in fact, quite a few states, I think, will have the resolve and the will and hopefully the ability to get this legislation passed if that's what a majority of the residents want. So let's see, is this the start of a trend? And if so, how big a trend could it be? Let's find out. I'm going to switch the camera. I'll let you watch me work with the cards and we'll see what they have to tell us. Okay, relevant to this timeline, we would like the universe to advise us if Louisiana Senate Bill 133 that recently passed, is that going to be a trend that other states will follow? And if so, could we get an idea of to what extent that momentum will have? How many of the 50 states, or just an idea? I'd love to live in a state where I could anticipate that kind of legislation being passed. Another state recently passed one that said no chemtrails. I think we're getting it, folks. I think we're getting it. Let's see. Okay, our first card is the Nine of Pentacles, then the Magician, 10 of Swords, 5 of Cups. Here's the relevant cards for our question. We've got the 9 of Cups showing up, the 5 of Swords, and the 8 of Wands. Okay, let me deal with that glare. Then we'll talk about what these cards are telling us and see what the good news might be. There is only one major arcana showing up in this read so far, but it's in a significant placement. And it tells me that we have the ability to make this legislation be widespread and adopted quite well and thoroughly. And that's because the magician is the major arcana here showing up, telling us a little bit more. This card is a card of independence. And so that's telling me that Louisiana has asserted their independence from allowing unelected agencies that don't have the best interests of their citizens at heart to they just claim their power. Absolutely. And they're making it manifest. But that tells me also that that ability could be more widespread. Okay, why did that happen? People are seeing, first of all, we need an end to these mandates coming from global establishments, from people who fly in on private planes and decide how best to make us eat bugs. There's been a lot of loss of life that can be attributed to some of those policies that have been implemented. You know what I'm talking about. And people have had enough. So it's time for a change. This 10 always signifies kind of an ending of something and a transition period. Now, in the current, we've got the 5 of Cups. This is a card of some sadness. And again, there's been a lot of losses and people have said enough is enough already. And that's what's going on here. So they decided to make change manifest. And one of the ones that the people of Louisiana thought was important, and I agree with them, is to disavow and not allow any of their sovereignty to be taken over by those agencies. So I love that legislation that they passed. Looking ahead, okay, we're going to be happy to see that quite a few states end up adopting similar legislation, asserting their sovereignty, their state's rights to make decisions for their citizens and not just abdicate it to, I don't want to say higher authority, but to more centralized authority that assumes power is not granted it. So because this is my 90% satisfied card. Okay, now I believe we're going to have probably upwards to close to half our states propose and pass this legislation. Now, near future is where I'm seeing this, and that doesn't mean near to the universe, may not be near to us, but hopefully we'll have enough people rallying and pushing for that legislation that it will be seen soon and passed. Let's get some more cards to see what the universe wants us to know. Okay, we have the 7 of Cups. I have King of Swords. We have the 3 of Cups. And we have another 10 with the 10 of Wands. Okay, so we're still looking into the near future with these cards here. And while these are the most impactful insight cards, these have some merit. This card talks about choices. We're going to see these legislation, and this card, the sword suit, talks about written and spoken words. And so that would be that legislation, but there's going to be a mix of how it's written up, depending on how the states want to word those documents and do them. Then here's some modest celebration going on, and this involves the legislation, and it's going to kind of see us through until large changes are made in our world and not just our country. So it's something we can do. It's actions we can take. It's protections for our families and friends and neighbors and neighborhoods that we can advocate for now, and not just sit back and hope someone does something and finally they decide it's the day to come forward and make changes. So again, there's times when we can do something, and I don't want to minimize our powers of manifestation because they're incredible. And how when we decide not to live a fearful life and we decide not to provide loosh for those that thrive on it, that I don't want to minimize that. That's important too, but we can't just do that. If we see an avenue of practical action to take, we need to be willing to do that too. Let's recap. Louisiana passed a bill that removes any right of the WHO, the United Nations, and other agencies to dictate health matters and other matters to them. We reviewed that and asked the universe, is this part of a trend? Is this something more states might use as a template and take back some of their power? The question was indicated, first of all, that this is an action of independence. And yes, it's a powerful action of independence. And others besides Louisiana are going to move forward with this action. And why? We've had enough. We've had enough of mandates that actually end up causing great harm. And really, that was the intent all along. We are mourning the loss of people that we shouldn't mourn, that shouldn't have lost. And so it's time to say, no, your policies aren't people-centered. You are working on a different agenda than the good of people, and we don't want your policies in play here. So it's going to be kind of satisfying to see that numerous states are going to follow with this. Hopefully close to half of our states will come up with similar legislation. They may decide to word it a little differently, include or exclude other provisions. But again, powerful legislation, powerful, that is very white hat approved. In fact, they're going to be kind of celebrating that people are taking some action. Again, there's times we have to sit back and let warriors do their thing. That the best thing we can do is stay out of their way. But when there's times to take practical action, we need to. We can't just be waiting for someone to deliver everything we want to us, for all the change to be just handed to us. It doesn't work that way. The more you meet someone halfway, the more you're going to get. So I see that a lot of states are going to be doing that, saying, hey, this is a practical step we can take, and it's a powerful step we can take, and by golly, we're going to take it. And hold those state representatives that oppose this accountable for why in the world would you oppose something that makes so much common sense? Because obviously, if the states did see some legislation or a mandate coming down that they chose, oh, that is sensible, that's a good idea, they can still roll with it. But it doesn't have to come directly from some global entity, nor should it. So that's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. If you've chosen to subscribe or resubscribe or like my videos, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't thank you enough. I do appreciate you. And because I'm able to do this, if you'd like to receive it, I wish you love and light and everything bright. And yes, I can do it to millions, because I'm simply a conduit from an unlimited source of love and light. And you can be too. Let's work on it. Until next time, bye.